A couple of quick things I want to hit on. Let's hit on this because this is a big one. And we're going to tie this in a bit with the Ben Armstrong, the Wendy O stuff, but it is different. Okay. So, not to call anybody out necessarily, but this is kind of, I guess we'll use this person as a vehicle for the kind of stuff that you will see now that prices are going up. Okay. So I don't know how many people in the chat will be familiar with Gunther, who is somebody who, and you will be able to fill this in a lot more than I, Ewok, because he was around like in the very early days of Hex. But he became like Wolverine or something like that. I don't remember what his name was, but his name's Gunther. I don't know if that's his real name, I don't know. But anyway, he became Wolverine. He's the guy that created Pulse Doge, which seems like years ago at this point. I think it was out when we start. Yeah, yeah, I guess it was. But I'm talking like a decade. But he created that. I think, did he also create Pulse Bitcoin, or did I make that up?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay.
He sure did.
Not
and then
Bitcoin, but
and then also created I think it was called ASIC, the token then that you purchased for the mining power for the Pulse Bitcoin. So he had a little operation going. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, I'll finish just setting up who he is, and then I'll let you go. So, yeah, anyway, he was a guy who was around and, like, entrenched in the Hex community, like, the last time around. And as far as anybody knew, his accounts have kind of been deleted, got in a lot of, like, mixed it up with people, a lot of drama and stuff like that. Haven't seen him around in a long time. Suddenly he resurfaces, like, a week ago, and is tweeting all this stuff like Hex saved my life, was literally, I think, one of the tweets, and Hex, I love Hex, and, long-term staking. And, he's getting a lot of adulation and followers right back and stuff like this. A little bit melodramatic in my opinion, but yeah, made Pulse Doge, all that stuff. I'll let you kind of fill in, the blanks with anything that I missed there kind of about him. And I know you had some points about when you see somebody like this come in, if you haven't been around this ecosystem or even around crypto long enough, and you see somebody come back in like this, I mean, a lot of people don't even know who he is and don't know that he's coming back in or any history. So talk about like kind of treading lightly with certain people that you do see in this kind of community.
Yeah. So it goes way back. So Gunther was there at the very, very start of Hex. He was one of the guys who provided one of the very first audits on the OA, like back in the very early day. Was kind of the same way. He was a very RH Maxi type guy, well respected at that point. And then, he started, once Richard decided to launch Pulse Chain, he launched this token called Pulse Bitcoin. Or Pulse Doge, I think it was.
Yeah.
And essentially, he rewarded the, I think the squids and the dolphins the most, and then kind of tapered it down. Sharks didn't get as much as the whales, or sharks got more than the whales, and then the whales got less, or, it tapered. It was like a triangle where the dolphins and the sharks were, or the dolphins and the squids were at the top, and then each side kind of went down as far as how much you got with an airdrop. And those tokens got up to be a fair amount. I forget whether they were $8-10 a piece or something like that.
Yeah.
And many people, I think, even if you had stakes out there, the minimum you got was 100 of them. So, it was a fairly nice size airdrop. Then he created the Pulse Bitcoin. Yes, Gunny Boo. Then Pulse Bitcoin came along, and then it was, like I said, the ASIC token. But either way, back to it. He was one of the very large dumpers of Hedron. In fact, signed a transaction on there that said something, I'll forever dump on your heads, because he was a very large holder of Hex at the time. He still might be. I know he cashed a lot of that out and was funding the Pulse Doge thing and trying to keep the price up and manipulate it a lot. And he got some people wrecked. He did. again, when people come back to this community after things, and we're going to see this more and more as time goes on, there are going to be people that have gotten out. Prime example, BitBoy had a bag that he sold, and I think he ended up selling $60,000 worth on a $300 or $500 purchase at the beginning. Ended up turning it into 60 grand. So we're going to see this. We're going to see people come back. We're going to see them say that I made a mistake or whatever, you know. And the one thing I commented, because Funding Jim was giving him credit and, you know, saying, you know, I like your transparency. And my comment right below his was, you know, actions speak louder than words. People can come in and say all kind of things, make it sound good, whatever it may be, but I'm going to watch what you do. You know, I've been here. I know that people got hurt from the actions of him. I know people lost a lot of money believing in the things that he was saying, because he was selling hex and saying, you know, this isn't going to work out or whatever it may be. And people followed him. You know, guys like that have some clout are going to have followers, and people are going to listen to everything they say, because they are smart. So, you know, you have to be careful, and you have to watch, and you have to. I always watch from afar. I don't say much. I'm not going to call him out, call him a scammer, or say welcome. I'm not going to give him a hug, or anything like crazy like that, and say welcome.
Do you know where he lives? Do you know where he lives to give him a hug?
No, I was
okay. No,
being facetious there. Again, you watch what they do. Watch from afar. I stay out of the drama. I really do. I avoid it like the plague. I don't like it. You know, some people thrive on it. I'm the opposite. I don't like it. So, yeah, we'll have to see how he turns out. And you know, you have to respect some of these guys that come back. You know, maybe he is reformed. Maybe he means well. Maybe he's just looking for a place to fall. Some people need that too, and I completely get it, and that's why I don't want to, you know, I don't want to shit on him for coming back or anything like that. But, you know, when people do burn other people in the community, you've got to watch with, you know, a little bit of a guarded vision there of seeing what they're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it is important to know that stuff. I mean, yeah, obviously anybody's allowed to come back in and do whatever they want to do, and you know, be part of the community and stuff like that. It's just a caution to some people that, you know, if somebody may have potentially harmed investors in the past, that there's a chance that could happen again. So just act accordingly, basically. So
yeah, and if he does, like Liberty just said it, perfect thing. If he starts another project, run.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Yep.